February 2nd, welcome to Snow Bros. Meteorologist Matt Makins here, watching that major coastal low that we had develop the last few days, still hitting eastern Canada, and behind it some cold weather. But watch later this week as that cold subsides. Here we have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're just sending wave of wave. More cold on the way for the Great Lakes, New England, Northeast, Eastern Canada. By next weekend, just as cold, if not colder than we are right now. Here are some of the examples here. This is next Sunday in the evening. 2 degrees Burlington, 6 Syracuse, 7 Buffalo, 9 Boston, 8 Providence, 7 in Hartford. Low teens from New York down to Philly. Baltimore and D.C. at about 20 degrees. You look at the Maritimers, we're sitting at about 10 below, 15 below for Quebec. Ottawa about 19 below, so some very cold numbers there. And again, this is going to be wave after wave of cold. This is just an example of some of that cold coming in these waves throughout the course of the week. There are some very cold numbers around Labrador City, at about 20 below Celsius there. This is the waves that we're watching in terms of snowfall, not just the cold, but snowfall. But there's going to be a more notable system developing over the southeast. And I say notable with, I think you'll understand what I mean, with recent sensitivities to the ice and the snow and that heavy rainfall event we just went through, especially around Nashville and the rest of Tennessee, parts of Kentucky down to the south. That ice storm, remember that one? With all due respect to that storm, this one is nothing by comparison. But we're still trying to clean up from that last storm. And watch as we go progressively through time here. This is Monday into Tuesday now. This is Tuesday, tomorrow morning about 7 o'clock. We're watching showers and thunderstorms popping up around Houston and Dallas toward Nashville. And then here we get another low popping right up over that central Mississippi, the Tennessee Valley, into the Ohio Valley. We're going to get snowfall. So yes, with recent sensitivity to that storm, it's nowhere near as strong. But we are bringing in this moisture with the developing low. So rainfall around Nashville Tuesday afternoon. Meanwhile, we'll have some snowfall between Nashville up toward Cleveland, pockets of snow around Toronto and Ottawa as well. Look around D.C. and New York toward Boston at Tuesday, 7 p.m. We may see some snowfall here down to the south and east. Boston, there's snowfall, if not in the city or close to it. It'll be around the Cape or south of the Cape. So we're going to have these passing waves of snowfall throughout the next few days. Also want to pause right here for a moment. Around D.C., yeah, still some snowfall Wednesday morning. Rainfall mostly to the south and east, and just pockets of some icing possible in that region. This is an update from yesterday's video. So if you subscribed, you've obviously got the alert. You clicked it this morning. The icing just doesn't seem that prominent with this storm system through the midweek, which is great news because we don't need more of that icing problem, but it is additional water. Water for the south and east is going to be rainfall, and then you look at about, say Kentucky, the state line of Kentucky and Tennessee, and then we have North Carolina and Virginia. And we're basically going to do that as a state line cutoff. To the north, that's your snow. To the south, that's your rain. As we go later through the week, more and more of these pockets of snowfall continue to arrive virtually out of Canada throughout the course of the week. But there's one that's going to be a bit more notable, and it's developing as we get into Thursday and Friday. And it's right in here. It's a stronger low. It's going to have deeper cold behind it. It's going to have more forcing, so it's going to drop in heavier snowfall around the Great Lakes from Cleveland, Toronto, Ottawa to Chicago. Starts off by the Sioux, goes through Detroit, pushes down toward the New England states and the Mid-Atlantic. So here we are Friday in the afternoon, New York, D.C., Boston, catching some heavier snowfall. So it's two snow events that may move through eastern states as we go throughout this week. Number one, again, is Tuesday and Wednesday. Number two is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Of all, the biggest impact is going to be that one targeting your weekend plans. Another big low pops up just outside of Boston, pops up over the Atlantic, and moves likely just south of Halifax in Nova Scotia there, throwing heavy snowfall back that way. Let's track that low. It's going to have cold air for sure, but the center of that low may shift and likely will in future updates. You're subbed, you'll get the alert. We're going to track the center of that low because it may mean a big snowfall difference if you're in New England, down east, if you're in New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. Big differences where that low will set up as we get closer in time. Again, that's going to be the main event. We're still not done with coastal low number one this weekend's, and that's just south of Newfoundland right now. Still throwing lots of heavy snowfall here across Newfoundland, at times around Nova Scotia, but getting quieter as we go through the next few days. And then it's just passing waves of snowfall with occasional cold until we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, when that next low begins to move in. It develops Friday afternoon. See right in here? Center of that circulation begins to pop up. Not too far from Augusta, Maine, perhaps, or Fredericton in New Brunswick, St. John, Moncton, Yarmouth, and Halifax. And there continues to deepen that low, throwing lots of water right back up over the Maritimers next weekend. In total, some of the snowfall there for eastern Canada may result like this. Now, keep in mind, we're still snowing. So this is going to be a total for the next week, including today's storm and any future storms throughout the course of the week. But look at these pockets in here. Really heavy snowfall. Sydney, for an example, close to 80 centimeters possible throughout the next week. St. John's about 83. So yeah, we'll refine these numbers as we get closer, because the track of that next low, next weekend's low, is going to be critical to either lower those snowfall totals or keep them where they are. And obviously very critical for around the Cape, Boston, down through Philly, Long Island, all of those good examples of areas that need to be watched out for. As we zoom the map into the southeast, just an update from yesterday's video. I scooted ahead. This is Tuesday at 7 p.m. Here we have Knoxville, Johnson City, Asheville, Dalton, Huntsville, Columbia, and Nashville. On down to the south, near Tuscaloosa, Jackson to Alexandria. That's mostly rainfall. So again, this system coming through, there is colder air with it, but it's not like the dynamic to give you icing or a huge threat of icing with this system. Once you work to the north, that's the colder air. And as the system and that cold kind of hits the hills and the mountains here, that's where we'll get some of the heavier snowfall. So again, kind of want to ease some minds about the system developing Tuesday, Wednesday, because it's minor in comparison to the last storm a bit, but it's just compacting these issues. The ongoing power issues and cleanup issues around Nashville will continue with that system. As we look at the snowfall totals for that system, notice not very much down here, just a trace, maybe an inch or so as you go from Tennessee into North Carolina. But you go northward, you go Virginia, West Virginia, parts of Kentucky up into Ohio. Right as that system slams into the hills and the mountains here, we may see several inches, especially around Morgantown, around 4. Get to Winchester, half of an inch. Fredericksburg, Baltimore, Richmond, not likely to see a lot of accumulation at this time. But stay with us. We'll continue to track the storm system as it evolves, and if we need to raise those snowfall totals, we will. As you look at the New England states, pockets of snowfall continue. Lake effect here from Buffalo to Syracuse along I-90. That goes through Tuesday into Wednesday. But most of your work week, if you're in the Northeast, New England, Mid-Atlantic, as you can see all the locations here, up through Maine, down east, New Brunswick, whatnot, we have passing waves of snowfall, light to moderate in most cases. It's late in the week for these areas to have that bigger impact, that stronger push, that next strong cold snap, if you will, arriving from Canada. So here we are Friday morning at 7. You're going to hear about the heavier snowfall here right along the border with Canada. Lake effect snow. Heavier from Toronto to Buffalo, Kingston down to Syracuse in that pocket. See the deeper blues, and they stretch on up toward Ottawa and Montreal. So Friday morning at this moment looks relatively quiet for all the major U.S. cities. But we go Friday lunch and perhaps some heavy snowfall falling out the windows there in Philly or Baltimore or New York, potentially even Hartford. Certainly will around Burlington, it appears. As we go into Friday night, driving back home, getting ready for your weekend, that's when a pocket of heavier snow is going to be possible in New York City, Long Island, toward the Cape, Providence, Boston, Hartford, up toward Augusta. I'm not zooming this map in just yet. It's way too early to do so for a snowfall forecast. Just know from Friday, progressively getting snowier, heavier and heavier as we get into Saturday as that system develops and pushes back over eastern Canada, and some wraparound snowfall possible at periods in the weekend, perhaps around the Cape. But again, we'll fly that map down. We'll get much more specific in future videos this week between Brian Shields and myself, and we'll pinpoint those heavier snowfall totals for you. This video to kick off your Monday morning, just trying to get you set for the next week to 10 days or so on the weather that's going to impact us in the snow world. Again, totals. We're going to watch out for these totals. We got Eastern Canada, kind of broke that down for you already, but pockets of very heavy stuff. And right now, from I-90 and I-95, say from Augusta down the coastline or coastal areas from Boston, Providence, down through New York City, Philly, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. Everybody here shows at least some accumulation later this week. It will be deeper in pockets here from Burlington to Syracuse and Buffalo, several inches possible as of this moment. But again, a lot of details will be refined, and we'll provide those more specific snowfall totals as we get closer. That was one example. The GFS model does produce quite a bit more snowfall here. This is the American version. 6 inches Boston, Augusta at 10, Burlington 2 to 3, Syracuse at 10, Buffalo at 5, Philly, Baltimore, DC, New York, Hartford, all at about an inch. So again, we'll go through the model data. We'll give you our most transparent or best hunches that we can as we go throughout this week, and we'll pinpoint those snowfall totals for you. So as we track the systems, there's 2 of them. Well, really 3. There's a one over eastern Canada this morning that will continue to pass away, our coastal low. But really for the southeastern system developing today through Wednesday, we'll have another video update, provide you just in case any of that icing or that snowfall threat should change. Then we'll track the stronger system for the weekend. That's the one coming out of Canada, the lake effect snows hitting the Great Lakes, and then the better push of some heavier snowfall around the Northeast, including Boston, down to New York City and Philly. That's the one for the weekend, pinpointing those deeper snowfall totals. How many times in this video did I say pinpointing? I know it's Monday morning, but perhaps we should have done a drinking game or something. Pinpointing. There you go. There's another morning Bailey's shot in your coffee or something. So, for Snow Bros, meteorologist Matt Makins here. Hope that gets you ready for your week ahead. Leave us a comment. We're happy to go through those and review if you have a specific question for what you should plan on for this work week. Until we see you again, have a great day.